Hello everybody, this is Sibbe Bladh. I would like to share with you a little story about 10 years ago. I attained certain spiritual qualities. What happened is that I became psychic, a medium, and had a connection with the spirits and the spirit world. All these things happened, it started happening around 1 year before my father's death, and it continued up to 2-3 years after his death. This intense period of connection with the spirit world. I was living in an island outside Sweden, on limestone material create electromagnetic energy. As the water pushes through the rock, it produces thought, electromagnetic divine energy. So that island is vibrating in this energy. And in the middle of this island there is a huge megalith. No, you call it. It's a. I don't know the word for it. It's a great site. They used to call it like castle, but that is the wrong. It's stone circle of gigantic proportions, several hundred meters. So this is the ceremonial place in the middle of this island. And in electromagnetic energy, especially worlds that connect the astral world to the physical world, there is a great connection, and I was starting to picking up on this. And it seems like the spirit world, when they find out that you can communicate, they start to look out for you and come to you and speak to you. One man in the village, I had a little restaurant and club and cafe, and one man in the village, he said he was also a psychic. A bald head, mustache, big Viking, Swedish Viking, and he said that, yeah, they told me to come and speak with you. I don't know why. And this guy, he was so psychic that when his friend wanted something from him, he picked up the phone and called them and asked, what do you want? That was his level. And he was working with taking care of drug addicts, curing drug addicts. He's a great man. So my connection, it started to grow more and more in this island. I lived in a house that used to belong to a shaman that was dead. And sometimes in the middle of the night something wake me up. I thought I had sleep problems or something, but this is a spirit. The spirits come when you're connected to the spirits and they want to communicate. They wake you in the middle of the night. So I was woken up, and in the winter time I was down, I made a fire, and I sat by the fire in the middle of the night, and music played in my head. Words of wisdom flow through my head. Things that I needed to know about the area. And this kept going. And I remember it was a very enchanting feeling. It was a very good feeling, very spiritual feeling. This, when you had this communication, and the early morning when the sun rises, and you're just filled with something. This connection, it takes you away. You get high. One night I went out in the balcony. The inner voices said, go out to the balcony. I went out to the balcony, and I get a vision from maybe 50 years back. And I see a little motorcycle going by the fields. And later when I told the brothers, the sons of the shaman, I told them about this, and they said that our grandfather always ride on such a bike. So probably the grandfather spirit had woke me up one night to tell me some things. But mainly he showed me a vision. He didn't give me any certain information. A couple of years later I became more advanced, and I knew there was different kind of spirits. The oldest spirits were the stone spirits, the spirits of the alvar, which is a special kind of ground, like a taiga steppe area, almost desert-like. And there you have stone spirits and very early nature spirits. And then you have spirits from different ages where people have lived in the place. And I used to call them the old spirits and the new spirits. The old spirits seem to me to be of a different temperament, different psychology, more calm, more reserved and wise, while the newer spirits, that I call them the Viking spirits, because they gave me information that showed me that they were warlike, and they showed me patterns. I was doing jewelry from these visions I get, with metal threads, silver and so on, and the patterns, they just flow in my head from this the new spirits. And the new spirits are quite aggressive. Sometimes it seems like even they was in war with the old spirits. Of course all this sounds very crazy, I know. It was crazy. For me it was, I don't know, I could pick up on what everybody was doing, how they felt, what their plans was. As I traveled through the country to different regions, I picked up on the historical energies in these regions. So each region had their own flavor of spiritual power, and I picked up on that. And the spirits, they showed me many things. I stand by a giant waterfall in Jämtland, where my mother was born, which used to be a part of Norway. And it's mountains and rivers and forest. It's one of the wildest places in Sweden, with Lapland. And I stood in front of this giant waterfall, and I hear my grandfather's voice, my mother's father, Gustav. I hear his voice inside of me, like a crystal rain. And he said, "Don't fear death. Death is nothing dangerous. It feels like this." And then he gave me a feeling that like all my energy was flowing out through my head. And he said that that's how it feels. And it was beautiful. It felt so good. So the spirits, they show you tricks, and they encourage you, and they teach you. They are your friends. And they show signs to you if you are awake. You can feel smells. You can have certain signals with your spirits. My relatives, they show me different things. When I was small, my grandmother always gave me this 5 crowns, Swedish 5 crowns, that was made in 1972, the year I was born. And they stopped making this ages ago, and they run out of circulation too, for several decades. But sometimes when I in the shop, or when I go, especially when I go out traveling and I pay some fee, I get one of these 5 crowns. And then I immediately know, because it's completely supernatural. This grandmother is with me. Grandmother defend me. That is the sign. And then the different spirits have different signs. And if you want to connect with the spirits, you have to do something that they used to love too. Like if you had a relative that was a drunk, maybe you have to get drunk to connect with that spirit. I felt that I never had the ability to call on certain spirits. I have the ability to call on energies, what we refer to as gods. But I never had a personal connection to call on any spirit that come to my relatives. It seems like it's them who choose when to speak with me and why. I believe that the dead are divine. They are one with the atmosphere, and they become spirit gods. I had certain signs that of that. Sorry. Whoa, this is a good sign. It was a beetle, a green beetle, the pharaoh. This is a good sign. So, what was I speaking about? Yeah, maybe the gods didn't want us to speak about this. I remember now, yeah, how the spirit world is kind of a god. And when someone dies, there's always a special feeling in the air. I pick up on this vibration anytime somebody dies. And also, if a dead speak with me, it can be quite embarrassing to be a medium. I was in Italy. I used to be a musician, so I was in Italy and was singing in a festival. And the day after, we was invited to one of the organizers' family for dinner. And we sit by the dinner table, and there's a portrait on the wall. And I feel that why is this portrait here? So I asked, who is this portrait? And he said, yeah, my brother, he died 1 year ago. And I don't know these people before this time. But suddenly it was like my eyes was like a waterfall. The tears was shooting from my eyes in a mad level, an unnatural level. So I was clearly channeling the dead brother, and I was quite scared myself, because I mean, it feels like you're gone insane. You don't have control of yourself anymore. So that's what made me to believe that the dead are divine. They are on a higher level, watching over us. I had a story to tell you, but obviously the beetle, the nature, told me to save this story for another time. But I'm sure you will like that story too. I have many supernatural experience, memories from my life. But it's hard to put them all at one time like this. So it's gonna come out gradually over the years, just like memories do. And when I get good memories, I will record them to share with the world about my experiences. That can be quite important for some people. I don't speak so much to my generation. I don't preach to my generation. They know almost everything I talk about self-reliance, and this is very old stuff for them. I preach for the whole of humanity, especially the younger people, and try to give them some advice that they should have an easier life, a better life, and be more effective. And I don't preach at all. I'm sharing. But I'm sure some will get offended by that too. There is always something to be offended about nowadays, it seems like. People want to tear down history. I heard now that some anti-racist group in Britain want to tear down the Great Pyramids in Giza. Can you imagine? What kind of, infinite ignorance would even think something like that? The pyramids contain all the secrets to create super civilization, to build an alien civilization. All the figures, numbers, mathematics, everything is there. And these people want to tear it down because they have some mental problems to cope with reality and what's happening and what has happened. It's important to preserve history. It said a winner writes history. So it's a war about knowledge, and we cannot let people destroy this knowledge. My mission is Sweden. I have to preserve the Swedish heritage from the modern society and the people, especially the ignorant, hateful people of the modern society, that out of racism and hate and jealousy want to transform our heritage, to dismiss us, to discredit us. So that is my job, and it's our job. I'm not alone, there is more people. But all of them had giant problems for doing this. But it's not going to stop. Heathenry. Sometimes in heathenry people talk about the Norröna tradition that Sweden didn't have part in heathenry or whatever, and this is so stupid. We don't need them. We don't need. We could speak about Swedish heathenry. That's how firm our heritage are. And what is called Norse poetry, Old Norse poetry, which is the Nordic tradition. Sweden has the absolute majority of runestones with this language and this poetry. So even that is just, it don't have any basis. It's not real. They lie. And this is kind of a prestige war, I think. And if they want to run that, it's okay. We have our own. We have our own. We can solve our own mysteries. And we have very smart people that is working on this. Very productive, that write volume after volume after volume after volume, and have established all the registers of archaeological material in Sweden. They have gone through all the registers and did the official work for the government. We have them on our side. So we will solve the puzzle. We will keep this. It's no problem. And if it takes that we create our own Swedish heathenry, it's okay that too. It's good. We need flavor in the world, right? But the spirit world is a very great part of any spiritual knowledge about Sweden. The forefathers dealt with metaphysical science when they built all these grids, all these burial mounds and systems. That was a science of the soul, of death, and a knowledge that the dead rule over us as gods, that they are forces of nature. And when you work with this, you get a complete life in nature and the world. Religion cannot give you that. Religion can give you faith. It can give you a personal illumination, a spiritual illumination, which is very good. It serves you very good. Faith is good. And to pray is good, partly from the quantum physics that you manifest, but also from the old perspective of the prayer religions that used to be in Tibet and these areas before Buddhism came, where you just simply chanted mantra, or galdur that we call it in Scandinavia, in the open air, and knowing that you are a little god and that you create with this prayer. So prayers are good, faith are good, but all the modern religions has lost the important perspective of death and what the dead play, what role they play in spirituality and in nature. So I don't know why I became a psychic. When I was younger, I had a full Kundalini enlightenment, fully traversed all energy levels of a human being. Maybe this is why I'm open to communicate with the spiritual world. Maybe it was because my father was going to pass away, and so the spirit took care of me. The spirit world nurtured me through this process. That was very hard for me. I was sad. I cried every morning for months. I was very devastated by my father's death, so I needed this spiritual support. And even my father, when he was dying, he called me. He said, I see lights. I see crawling on the wall, different lights and energy patterns and stuff. So he was breaking through to the other side, and the other side spoke with us. And then when he died, he made so much things to make sure that we completely understand that spirit world is real. He did so many signs. It was amazing. Even putting things in different places and pockets. And one of his old girlfriend, she found the key to his apartment that she had lost for 10 years ago. She found it in her pocket. My mother was on a flight and something happened that she got on the flight and the sign was all pointing at my father. So and I had also personal experiences. I was sad one time and he came and speak with me and he said, "Fuck you have always been too soft," he said. In Sweden we say blödig, that means bleeding. You're too bleedy. I don't know the word in English. I say, tight up, shit happens. And then I thought, this is just my brain telling me something. And then he told me something that only he could know, that I didn't know personally. But I could understand that it was real. So this is real, and maybe one have to be careful with this. I don't think you should play with this. The mind is sensitive. I think some people, they flip out and they lose. If you don't have ground connection and you start deal with spirits, maybe you get crazy, you fly off, you lose your mind. I think that. And vice versa, when I read the book The Circle of the Shaman, how a psychiatrist used shamanism to cure schizophrenia. Because it goes both ways. And I don't encourage people to seek the spirit world. My philosophy is always about being natural and being yourself and taking care of yourself to the maximum. And not look for outer forces and stuff before you're ready yourself. Let these spirits speak to you voluntarily. And some spirits can be scaring. I had one just when this started, a couple of years before my dad passed away, 2009. A spirit with long dark hair, looking very aggressive and hateful, started to come. And just a month after that I got a serious illness. So when one sees dark spirits, it can also be a warning from the spirit world that something bad is about to happen. So it's not only light and love, the spirit world is mighty. It's great, and it have a great sense of humor. It make me laugh like you don't, I mean, very funny sometimes. Very, 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 very funny. On a genius level, on a supernatural level that is unreal. So it can take you from a state where you're complete sadness and crying. It can make you laugh your ass off. That is the power of the spirit world. So why shouldn't deny this dimension? The humans have always been in connection with the spirit world since the first human walked Earth. It is just in the later times it was forgotten that this is real reality. So keep your eyes and ears and hearts open and light a candle for your deceased relatives and pray for them and speak with them. It might give you something you're really looking for. Peace, peace of mind, peace in your heart, power. Alright everybody, take care, bless.